and I'd like to go directly to presentation by Ed Truscelli and the Princeton Community Housing on affordable housing. And so just in the way of background, since Paul had to step out, we've received a number of questions recently about the process of qualifying for affordable units. Mr. Hart, you've had some questions about some of the units that in the township that we've had difficulty selling, and so I thought it would be helpful to bring in Ed and his team to do a brief overview of the process they go through for their sale units, and then I believe Mr. Pogorzelski has also been looking into our rental unit situation. So turn it over to you if you want to come over to the podium. And thank you for coming out, by the way, tonight.
Thank you very. Oops, it's on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us. I want to introduce my colleague, Arnez Yousefzai. She works with me as part of our role as administrative agent for the township.
Welcome.
So, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. Just a little bit of background, a little bit of additional background so you all can understand what our role is. Again, we are with Princeton Community Housing, the actual company that does the administrative agent work for the municipality is called PCH Development Corporation. We've been doing that for 3 years now for the township. Our organization is a not-for-profit organization. Besides the services we provide to the township, we also own and manage affordable units in Princeton, not in Hopewell. Our primary role is administrative agent. That term, by the way, comes from the Council on Affordable Housing. Even though the Council on Affordable Housing is essentially defunct, the rules that govern COA still come into play. Those are the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. Those are state statutes. So those are the rules we use to guide what we do as administrative agent. And essentially our function as administrative agent is to enforce the COA rules or the statutes, facilitate the application process. In our case, we are the administrative agent for the sales units in Hopewell, not the rentals. So whenever there is an affordable sale, we help facilitate that transaction. We affirmatively market available sales units. So in other words, we make the general public aware that affordable units are available. And we don't necessarily work as a real estate agent, but we work with real estate agents, again, to facilitate the sale. All the normal parties in a real estate transaction, attorneys, real estate agents, appraisers, banks, we work with all those folks to, again, facilitate the transaction just as you would for any sale. I think that's a pretty good background. Again, more information about what our role is can be found in the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. That's online. Speaking of online, the township has a wonderful resource on its own website. Abigail, when she was here before she left, she worked with us to put a resource online, which is called bear with me one second, it's called the Key Things to Know Before You Apply. So that information is on our website, but it's also on your website. It outlines pretty much everything a prospective applicant would have to do to apply for an affordable unit. In terms of the units that are available, sales units that are available in Hopewell, right now there are 146 affordable sales units in Hopewell. Those are predominantly located in Brandon Farms. There are also some in Pennington Point. At present, there are 6 units that are on the market. Of those 6, 1 is pending transaction, so that should be hopefully closing soon. So that's about 3% of the units that are in the township are currently on the market, if you will. So that's a pretty low percentage, I would say. There are exactly 29 households on the waiting list. Of those 29, 26 are certified. What that means is those households are certified to purchase either a low income or a moderate income or a middle income unit of a particular bedroom size. Most of the units on the waiting list are 2-bedroom, moderate, two-bedroom moderate units. And there is, I think, one three-bedroom low. So that's kind of the status of where things stand. And by the way, we give a report when there's an Affordable Housing Committee meeting. We give a report similar to this at each of those meetings, just as a matter of information. My colleague will be able to talk a little bit about what the process is for applying, if that's okay, and then we can entertain some questions.
So I can hold it, it's easy. The application process for the sales program, it's a formal process. So basically the listings are out there. They're on our website. They're also on the Hopewell website. There are other private websites they're on that are run by the state. What happens is anyone can apply at any time. So you may see a listing and have a specific unit you're interested in based on your, okay, I'm sorry. You can see a listing, or an applicant can see a listing and be interested in a particular unit and apply accordingly, or people can apply at any time and then wait till something actually comes up in their income category. The first step is they get the application, which again is available on our website. They fill it out in full. With the application, we do ask for several documents. There's a full checklist, and you can see that online. And the main thing is we have to make sure that these folks are income qualified, and also if they are interested in a particular unit, that they can afford that unit. So they submit the application, all the documents, a pre-approval, and that's reviewed in our office. If all is good, that's how they get certified and they go onto the wait list. If there's a unit right there and then that they're interested in, we match them up. We tell them there's this one available and you're qualified for it. You're welcome to take a look at it. They meet on their own with the homeowner once they're income certified and see the unit and make an offer directly with the homeowner. Once that is done, they let us know, both parties, and we prepare a purchase agreement. The purchase agreement lists, what their agreed upon sale price is and the down payment and so forth, and a deposit. Once that's done, then it's really up to the mortgage company and the buyer finalizing everything. And then pretty much everything at that point is done like a regular sale, except that there's certain documents at closing that have to be, of course, completed and recorded on the affordable end, so we assist with that. So throughout the process, we're in touch with the buyer, the seller, the lender, the title company, the mortgage company, and the two attorneys, if there are any, and sometimes there's a real estate agent. So again, the application process is open year-round, and people can apply anytime and then get matched up to the units.
So at this time, I know there were some questions from the committee, so if anyone on the committee wants to answer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You said there was only 5 available units in the township right now?
Correct. There's 6. One is under contract. For sale.
Because I looked on that board out there in the hallway, there was 3 age restricted and 5 last week. So we sold some?
3 age-restricted affordables?
Yeah.
And are they
still on there?
Okay, they might be an old, old listing, or are they in Pennington
old?
Point? Are they elsewhere?
I will check the bulletin board and see. Might need to be
Remember
updated.
I was there looking the other day, I saw them up there, unless
Might need
somebody
to
didn't
be
take them down. Question, I always see some for sale though. Do people have a hard time qualifying in Hopewell Township for one of those homes?
Well, I think it's not necessarily just Hopewell Township. What happens is one of the first pieces of information we ask people to provide is a pre-approval from a mortgage lender. And there aren't very many mortgage lenders out there, so it's a very competitive process. It affects potential affordable housing purchasers in all of Mercer County as far as we understand.
Well, if they have a hard time filling these, why would the state tell us, or the judge tell us we got to put 800 more? We can't even get these 3.
I wouldn't say we're having a hard time filling them. I'm just saying there's a challenge out there for people
There is
to
a
find
challenge. I understand the
financing.
banks don't want to lend the money, and it's going to be even harder to lend it in Hopewell Township because of where we live. That's why I'm confused of why they want this high number when the banks don't want to give anybody any money in Hopewell Township because their numbers have to be a lot higher than like, say, Trenton or Hamilton. So
Yeah, I don't know if it's particular to Hopewell. I think everybody who applies for affordable housing has a challenge of finding a mortgage. and getting
ever
pre-approved.
since I've been around Hopewell, I've always seen units available. I've never seen 100% occupancy. And that's why I'm confused why they want to keep pushing more over here. I've never, ever had 100% seen
What,
in Hopewell.
what's the vacancy rate in general for regular homes?
Oh, for regular homes?
Yeah.
Oh, market rate, I wouldn't be able to venture a guess on that. But I can tell you that in Princeton, for affordable, it's probably less than 5% as well. So we're in the same ballpark. I mean, it's only one other town, but, you know, that's a measuring point to make.
But I think it's helpful for us to think about it in terms of the general market, and more than likely there's at least a 5% vacancy rate of regular market units in the town. So when we're talking about 5 out of 146, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think people have a hard time qualifying for mortgages across the spectrum, and it's not simply individual families that are looking at affordable units.
I don't have any other questions.
You talked about the for sale units. How many rental units do we have in the town?
Paul, excuse me.
Yeah,
Mr.
we
Paul,
have
Chelsea?
about 187 rental units, 72 of which are in Project Freedom, and I believe
I'm sorry, what? 72 or what?
72 are Project Freedom, and 115 are in Hopewell Gardens.
Do we know what the vacancy rate is for the, at this point, how many of these rental units are?
I believe Project Freedom is 100% occupied, and I believe we always, every month, we seem to have vacancies in Hopewell Gardens. For some reason, under reasons I can't understand, that they're never able to occupy all their units.
Well, I mean, that's been a topic of discussion for many years. There's something about, well, we won't, we can't go into that here, but there are usually vacancies over there. Could you talk a little bit about what the affordable market, the demands are for rental units versus units that you can purchase?
I would say, generally speaking, there's more demand for rental because people have the ability to achieve that financial status. Getting a down payment, which is typically at least 5%, is a challenge for many households. And again, qualifying for a mortgage is another step beyond that. So I would say there's more demand for rental housing, generally speaking. And again, we can only speak with Princeton experience, but you know, our organization has over 1,200 applicants, households on the wait list for rental units.
And I would venture to guess that you don't know what the vacancy rate is for the rental market either, because that's not necessarily your area of experience. But
Again, I can tell you from our experience as an organization over the past at least 5 years that I've been involved, it's probably less than 4%.
right, but for the overall
For
market.
the overall market, I would say it's probably in that same ballpark. And again, I don't have any hard data to back that up, but I could tell you from talking with my colleagues at other organizations in the Mercer County area, it's definitely in that range.
Right. And in terms of the waiting list, could you give us a sense for what, how long, how they're on the waiting list for? What are they looking for? Give us a better characterization, if you could, of those families and what they need and that kind of thing.
Right.
For Hopewell.
For Hopewell, yes. Right now, there are 29 households on the waiting list here in Hopewell. Of those, 26 are certified. That means they can purchase a home. They're ready to purchase a home. Most of those households are, actually most of them are looking for one-bedroom moderate. There are 7 looking for one-bedroom moderate. 5 are looking for two-bedroom moderate, so that's about half of the households there. And then the others are, when I say moderate and low, I'm using terms to define affordability. So low income is 50% of the median area income. Moderate income is 50 to 80% of the median area income, just to get an understanding. The one unique factor about Hopewell's affordable housing sales stock is that the people on the waiting list right now, they want to continue to wait. The reason is because the units that are available are frankly not that desirable. Many of the units have 2 bedrooms that are available, but only 1 bath, and they're all on 1 floor. Many people would prefer to have the bedrooms up above, and the units that Brandon Farms don't offer that. So people are, actually being, a little bit discerning when they want to look at their opportunities. The other thing to mention that I didn't mention before is that we set the maximum resale price. There's a formula through COA that we have to follow to set that maximum resale price. So the current owner of a unit may want to stay at that maximum. They have that discretion to go lower, but many do not because they obviously want to get the best value. That also is a factor in not allowing some households to, to purchase that. Again, there's that value perception. The Affordable Housing Committee over the past several years has tried to help in some cases where a unit has been on the market for a period of time. For example, if a low-income unit hasn't sold for a set period of time, usually several months to a year, the committee will entertain the option of opening that up to a moderate income through a waiver, moderate income household. So that would just enlarge the pool of applicants from just a low-income pool to the moderate income pool. In a couple of cases that's worked, but not always. So again, moderates, yes, thank you. Moderates also been opened up to middle. Middle is another higher income class, a greater percentage of the median area income.
So what is the median income for Hopewell Township that is used in the calculations? Or, I mean, if you don't have the exact, just a approximate?
Yeah, I don't have that with me. I was going to bring that and I forgot to. I can get you that information. I apologize.
That's also online.
It's online, yeah. It's part of the COA.
But, so what are the levels? We've got very low, moderate,
And middle,
and middle.
right.
Okay. And so the range, could you give us a sense of what the ranges are?
Yeah, well, again, financial, I can only give you the percentages. I don't have the median area income, but all these are percentages of the median area income. So low income is less than 30%. Oh, we do have them.
Okay, so we don't have any very low in the sales. We have low, moderate, and middle. So for example, if someone has a household of four persons, they can apply for a 2-bedroom, and their income for the low category, it has to be below $46,307. For moderate, the maximum income allowable is $74,091, and for middle, it goes up to $185,220. So that's an example for someone applying for a 2-bedroom mod, 4-person household.
But
I want to make sure I heard those
Sure.
numbers
Mhm.
right. So, for a 2-bedroom family, 4 people, they can make up to $185,220.
If the unit has been categorized as middle, and that's through a waiver only from the committee. So there's a moderate unit, let's say, for sale, and it's been a year plus, 2 years, and it's not selling, the homeowner asks for a waiver to, hey, can we open it
I'm
up?
not even worried about the waiver, but if,
Yeah.
if we look forward and,
Sure.
some of the affordable housing obligation looking forward, some will be low, some will be moderate, and some will be medium.
Right.
Even, let's even go with the middle category. $74,091, that's more than, a number of our teachers or, other hardworking professionals in the community make. I mean, it doesn't sound, to me, that's a very respectable.
Well, these numbers have been published by COA, by the state, and they haven't been updated. These are from 2014, and that's what we've been working with.
We don't have any discretion over these.
Right,
income
we
levels.
don't.
Right.
At this point, we don't.
But, it's just,
Sure.
there are a lot of people who aspire to live in this community who, are, helping support our community, teachers, police folk, even our firefighters that could very easily fit into one of these categories.
Right.
I mean, it just strikes me that it's a higher number than I was expecting.
And if they wanted to, how would they go about, what are some of the things we might say to these individuals in the community who have incomes less than $50,000? Is it difficult for them to apply to this program, or?
Well, it depends, they can apply if they have to fall into one of the categories, and if there's not a unit available immediately, then they wait. But yeah, that's one of the toughest things when somebody comes in and says, I only make this much and I can't afford anything you're offering. I mean, it's sad. There isn't really a true answer.
I'm looking at the converse of that, I think.
I'm sorry.
No, I would say if again, the biggest hurdle is getting that pre-approval for the mortgage, but if people fall within these income guidelines and they're eligible, as long as there's a unit available, then yes, there's.
Right.
And if there's more than one household applying for one particular unit, we would do a lottery, which is again a COA rule. But if there's only the one household applying for the one unit, and that's it, then that unit is
Right.
available to that household.
But so should we be saying to our community that if you happen to, if your income happens to fall in these ranges,
Yes,
go ahead
apply.
and
Yeah,
apply?
definitely. And what we've been doing, again, as part of that affirmative marketing, again, we're marketing the plan, Hopewell's plan. We're not marketing individual units, but what we do is we take this flyer, which is, again, available online, and, we'll drop it off at ShopRite or Stop and Shop, or, places where we are looking to encourage people to apply for this kind of housing. And that's part of our role. And things like this, and maybe speaking in front of the school board or, other groups, those are the kinds of things that we do to help promote the program.
Are there limitations in terms of age of the people applying?
No.
It's strictly income.
Well, it's income and
Family.
other factors, yeah.
Okay. But all that stuff is online, so
It's all online, and again, for people to qualify, they have to be able to afford the unit, and that generally means they have to spend no more than 28% of their income for housing-related costs. So that's the mortgage, the property insurance, condo fees, any of those things. So again, in Hopewell, it's 28%. Some other places, it's 30%, but that's the guideline for eligibility as well.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, as we consider building new homes, because we're going to be part of this process, how do we decide if we're going to have very low, moderate, where are those restrictions that are put on us? How does that come about?
Well, again, assuming for a moment that the COA guidelines continue or in some form, that's a starting point for what the balance or the mix of affordability will be. The township will also have its own housing element of its master plan, which will take that as a starting point and then build upon that. So if the municipality feels there should be more low than what COA prescribes, then that's certainly something you can do. So it's a mix of both what's required and what the discretion of the town is.
But if we wanted to say, let's say we wanted to build only moderate units in the town, do we have the flexibility to do that?
You could make the argument, and if it's convincing, maybe it would be accepted, but I think based on experience, and I'm not an attorney or any kind of expert on COA rules, generally you have to provide a spectrum of affordability.
All right, my recollection is that we are told what we need to, I don't know, if Mr. Herbert, if you had a, Mike, you got to speak into the mic. No.
I got it. I keep forgetting. I apologize. In the various towns I represent where we've been able to enter into settlements for our affordable housing, there are certain requirements that are placed upon you. It's usually 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 for each of the different levels, but that may change depending on what is available in the town as it is. So there are certain guidelines from COA that are followed.
Thank you. That's what I figured. I didn't know that we had a lot of discretion in terms of, so Project
We don't.
Freedom, for example.
We don't have a lot of
we were-
discretion.
We were told that
Yeah.
what we needed to build there. And I know Mr. Hart's the liaison to the Affordable Housing Committee, and I just want to reemphasize that, Mr. Hart, these are public meetings that anybody can go to if they have any questions or concerns. They're welcome to attend the meeting. When are the meetings again?
Well, we had the
Second
canceled last
Tuesday.
week. I don't know when that
Second Tuesday of the month, I think.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
we haven't had one yet this year. It was canceled.
Okay. But that, if there are questions and the public has that, technical questions, or they can, if they have a question, do they reach out to you or to our Affordable Housing Coordinator, Ms. Pogorzelski? How do we handle that?
Yeah, again, so for rental units, the individual companies, Project Freedom or Hopewell Gardens, will manage the application process. If somebody calls in, they're looking for to be pre-qualified, they have questions about for sale units, I'll actually, refer them to Princeton Community Housing
Okay.
further qualification process.
Okay, so if they can't go to a meeting, they can just reach out to us here.
Yeah, we
and
get
then
calls
we'll-
all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
And I certainly appreciate your help with this because I know that it's a highly complex and technical area of the law. So I know that we couldn't do this, that's for sure, and I appreciate your help.
Yeah, I just want to echo that, and beyond saying thanks, I'd encourage you to, as we get into our housing plan, you're on the front lines of this every day. So, I mean, factors that I wrote down as you were talking about it, about, the number of bathrooms per unit, the orientation. It's not probably unlike the general market, right? People want certain features. I'm amazed by how far granite countertops have pushed down, on units. But, if you can continue to advise us and advise any partners we may work with as we move forward, I think that would be helpful, because the last thing, I'm encouraged that we have almost 5 people on the waiting list for every available unit, but we don't want those units that are less desirable and sit for an extended point of time, because then we're not providing a service and we're not helping people.
Right. Well, thank you for the opportunity as well.
Thank you for what you do and for coming in tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So what I'd like to do also while you're here is we've gotten a lot of questions over time. So if the committee is okay with it, if there are any members of the public who want to ask a question directly, to Ed or, folks about how they administer these programs or something that wasn't covered in the presentation, their presentation, a question for them, I'd welcome you to do so at this point.
Jim Bird, Hopewell Township. I guess one of the things that I question in regards to affordable housing is how do they go about establishing a means to come up with a number of units per municipality? Is that done by going on a basis of existing commercial companies or those who work for a company? If you could clarify that, I certainly would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I don't think I'm in a position to answer that question without all due respect. Yeah, I think that's being debated by quite a few people in the courts right about now. We just follow whatever that number ends up being. Okay, you're welcome.
Anybody else? Please.
Mike Kiernan, Marshall's Corner. I'd like to ask Mr. Truscelli, in the past, I've heard different things said at various committee meetings that we are building affordable housing for our police or our firefighters or the millennials. Could you explain to me who was picked to put in what units? Like some of the research I did, now I could be wrong, I thought it was pretty much like a lottery system where we don't pick and choose. And is it true that people from out of state can be picked to be put in affordable units? Thank you.
These are great questions. I can't comment on what may have been said at prior township committee meetings, but I can say that the COA rules require us to accept applicants from anywhere. It's open to anyone and everyone as long as they qualify for all the eligibility criteria. We have to accept that application. That being said, we find that on our waiting list right now of those 29 households, almost everyone, the vast majority of them are probably from within a 20-mile radius of where we sit right now. A lot of them are from from Mercer County, a couple from Bucks County, PA. I think there's maybe one that's outside of the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. So just because of the nature of how the program is marketed, most of your applicants are going to come from this area because they've either heard about it or there's a family member or they have a job here. So that's usually how it works. But again, it's open to everyone.
Anyone else?
I'm assuming that they pay their taxes when they buy a house. We don't give them a break on their taxes, do we?
Well, the house is assessed
Right,
a
but-
value for affordable housing, but they pay taxes on that.
So they have to pay fees for the community.
Condo association.
I mean, they're just normal people paying their normal.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I want to just thank you again. Thank you for coming out tonight, and I'm sure we'll be in touch as we work through the challenges ahead.